Hey folks, the story you're about to listen to was taken from one of my older speedruns, so I really quickly want to establish the context for what I'm going to be talking about here. So, back during Nyalotha, I basically resubbed, and I was bouncing around a few different guilds. At first I was playing DPS, and then finally I decided I wanted to go back to tanking. So, I found a guild that needed a tank, I talked to the guild leader, he said, alright, on Thursday, we're already done raiding for the week, but if you want to show up and trial in a Mythic Plus, we can do that, and we can consider that your trial for the next raid week. So I said, okay, and then I waited to hear back from him, and that is pretty much where the story continues, so I'll let past Harldan take it away.
The trial experience was when I knew it was problematic. So, for the first time ever, I had somebody postpone a trial 3 times. The guild leader who I talked to, I basically asked him, like, oh, are you looking for tanks? And he said yes. He was like, oh, I can trial you in a Mythic Plus because, our raid days are already over for this week, unless you want to come on our Sunday Heroic, but that's, like, far away. I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll try out for your build. I'll give it a shot. And then next day comes and goes, and when the time rolled around, I messaged him, and he never responded. And then later on that night, he says, oh, sorry, I forgot. How about tomorrow? So I say, okay, sure. The next day comes, and he's online, and I messaged him around the time when he said, and he basically is sitting there online doing stuff actively in WoW for hours, never responds to me, until at like 5 in the morning, I get a message, which I didn't even see until I woke up later. Oh, sorry, I didn't see your message. How about you just come to our heroic run this Sunday? Which, that really annoyed me. Because it's like, if he wanted to say trial in our heroic run, sure, I can wait a few days. I'm not, like, impatient. I'll wait to trial on the Sunday heroic. But when I literally set aside time in my schedule to do this trial, because he says, oh yeah, I'll do it at this time on, like, whatever day in a Mythic Plus, I'm like, okay, so, I don't like to be late. I like to be scheduled on time. I set aside time. I basically tell my friends, sorry, I can't do anything right now. I have a raid trial. And then I go ahead and get ready for that. And then not only does he not cancel it, like, at the time, he basically makes me wait there for, like, an hour. Obviously, after, like, 15 minutes, I started kind of doing something else. But it's one of those things where I'd maybe, like, level a character or, run old raids for transmogs. I want to do something where it's like, if he says, oh, sorry, I was late, I can do the run now. Like, I can drop whatever I'm doing and hop in. But basically, I kind of fucked my own schedule 2 days because he just completely blew off my trial. So I'm already kind of pissed off. And then the Sunday raid rolls around, and I messaged him like a question earlier in the day, which he never responded to. Surprise. And then when the actual raid time rolls around, 2 things. First of all, I can see him online. I can see that he's in a group. And I asked him, like, hey, are you starting the raid soon? Like, I'm here, I'm ready for the trial. And no response. Then he forms the raid group. I see it pop up because, if you see people here in LFG, like, obviously I have nobody I know in Alliance, so Quick Join is empty, but it'll pop up in Quick Join. You'll get, like, a little notification. So it says, so-and-so formed a raid group for, like, Heroic Nyalotha Farm or whatever. So I see that he's forming the raid group, and I message him again. I said, oh, are you starting now? Like, do you still want me to trial? And nothing. Absolutely nothing. And then I see he passed lead to somebody else. So finally, I'm at, like, my wit's end here. And I messaged, like, the other guy who just got lead. I said, hey, I've been talking to your guild leader for, like, the past week, and he keeps scheduling a trial and then just completely blowing me off at the last second. Do you know if I even have a trial at this point? Like, what the fuck is going on here? I'm just so tired of waiting until the last second and then basically getting told to fuck off because he doesn't do what he needs to do as a guild leader. And then the guy basically was like, oh, yeah, sorry, I did hear that you were going to be trialing. Like, I can invite you. Let me see. And then, I got into the group. I did my trial. I passed the trial. I was just like, I didn't want to, like, what do you say to that? Like, what do you message to the guild leader? Like, hey, leader of the new guild that I just joined, can you explain to me why you blew me off 3 times in a row? That sounded sexual. No. Why you ignored my messages 3 times in a row? And it's not a good look, right? When you're trialing, you don't want to, like, risk offending the guild leader. So I didn't say anything. Luckily, he did reach out to me, and he said, hey, I'm really sorry about, you know, the fact that I haven't messaged you and stuff. And, you know, I was understanding. He basically said, like, oh, yeah, you know, I've just been really busy with life stuff. It's been a hectic week. And, you know, I'm not going to judge people. Like, I don't know people's life stories. So I was just like, oh, okay. You know, sure, it's fine, man. It happens to everybody. You know, don't worry about it. Problem is, the reason why I'm telling this story and not in a positive light, because here's the thing. If I found out that, like, you know, a relative in his family died or something, and that's the reason why he couldn't do it, I obviously wouldn't be sitting here telling this story, painting him in a negative light, even if I'm not naming him. But the things I've found out since that point make me think that that is a complete horseshit excuse. Because over the next few months, when I was in this guild, I basically, like I said, in a lot of guilds, I'm very social, I'm very active. So I was friends with a lot of people on the raid team within, you know, just a few weeks of being on the team. I was friends with pretty much most of the officers, and this guy basically never logged in outside of raid. He was a completely raid logging GM, which is a terrible look. If you're a GM, you gotta at least put in the time outside of raid. It looks bad if you don't, because then it just looks like you don't really care about your team. The worst part is that exact same situation that happened with me, where, you know, I scheduled the thing and, you know, he postpones it. We got messages from people who had the exact same problem, where people would reach out to him through, like, WoW Progress or some other website, seeing the guild advertisement. They'd be like, oh, hey, I'm interested in joining your guild. He'd set something up. He'd just completely blow it off and never get back to them without telling, you know, any of the officers or anybody in the raid team. And then we'd end up having trouble finding recruits because this guy just had no fucking clue what he was doing. And the reason why he was having all of these real big issues dealing with stuff, you know, what is this major IRL reason, you're wondering, that he couldn't deal with all this stuff? It must be something really serious. It's League of Legends. It's fucking League of Legends. He could not stop playing fucking League of Legends to manage his own guild. So, you know, it might have been a coincidence that the one time he had some major life crisis come up was during my trial, and that's why my trial he fucked up because of that. But when multiple other trials were completely fucked up because he just would not stop fucking playing and streaming League of Legends to, like, all 5 of his viewers, and then making excuses about it as to why he couldn't do some X event that was scheduled in the guild. Like, he wouldn't show up to Heroic Farm, which, like, come on, man. You gotta do that. You know, if you're the guild leader, I don't care if you don't need guild, or if you don't need loot from the Heroic Farm runs. You're the fucking guild leader. Show up to the Heroic Farm. Whenever I lead a guild, I set that shit up and I show up. And I'm the one who directs it. I'm not doing it because I need loot. I'm doing it because I'm farming loot to help new players in the guild. And he would just completely blow it off. And half the time, we wouldn't even have enough people able to go to the Heroic Farm because, well, guess what? If the guild leader doesn't even give enough of a shit to show up to the Heroic Farm runs, why should, you know, the average raider give enough of a shit to show up to the Heroic Farm runs? If I'm on a raid team and I know that the guild leader doesn't give enough of a shit about me to help me out, gear my ults and stuff, why am I going to try to, you know, cover for his slack, right? So I can't blame people for not showing up when the guy who's supposed to do that, it's his job in the guild, just doesn't give a fuck. And then he would post nonstop about, like, his League of Legends ranking and, oh man, I managed to reach platinum today, guys, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if that's good or bad. I don't play League of Legends, but I just got so fucking tired of hearing it, because here I am trying to help out the new players in the guild as someone who just got recruited, trying to, you know, help out the officers where I can. And I have to sit here and watch the guy who completely fucked over my trial, and I assume gave me a completely bullshit excuse as to why he fucked up my trial, make excuses as to why he can't actually help out with the guild that he runs because he's playing League of Legends. And then he won't fucking shut up about it. One of the other really frustrating things about that guild is the dude had a ridiculous power trip when it comes to, like, leading his guild. So despite the fact that he has absolutely no influence in his guild, right? He felt like he needed to micromanage everything that went on within it. And God forbid somebody else tried to, like, have a say in raid leading or have a say in strategy, despite the fact that we would basically plan out raid boss strategies for, like, hours, like, among ourselves in Discord. Like, people on the raid team, we'd group together and be like, okay, let's hop in Discord and, like, discuss the boss that we're going to try out next week. Which, like, honestly, pretty advanced for that guild. Like, that's the thing. That guild was not a serious cutting-edge guild. Like, the guy who led it said he wanted to do cutting-edge, but the average person on that raid team was actually much more advanced, so to speak, than the guild itself was. There were a lot of people that did like to play at the same level I did, where, they like to prepare for future bosses and plan ahead. And they were also really frustrated because they wanted this guild to be something that it just wasn't. And the problem is, we would do all this preparation. I would be in Discord with them. I'd, like, help them strategize. We'd, like, watch different guides and, try to figure out what strategy would work best for our comp and stuff like that. And then raid day comes along, and the guild leader basically says, oh, I don't give a shit at what you planned. I watched, like, a 5-minute video on YouTube, and we're doing my strategy. And then he would basically be like, yeah, this is what we're doing. You have to listen to me. And it was just so annoying. And honestly, that guy got hard carried because, like I said, there were some good players in that raid team. There were people way above the level that guild should have been. And they played really well. They did a lot of damage, and we got much farther than I ever expected us to. But, no thanks to the GM, who basically did absolutely no work to help out his own guild. Finally, I get told by one of the people on the raid team, who I was, like, kind of friends with, that he was like, oh, I know you've only been here for a few weeks, but you already seem to be, like, of the same mindset as us, so I'm going to let you in on a little secret. We're planning on making our own guild and, causing, like, a little schism or whatever. So I'm already like, okay, great. I've been in this guild for, like, a month, and it's already on the brink of falling apart. And what's worse is, apparently, about a week before I even joined in the first place, it almost fell apart for the first time. They apparently threatened to leave, and they had this massive, like, Discord argument or something that they told me about. And they were like, oh, yeah, we were all arguing in Discord. We almost left the guild, but we managed to, come to an agreement. But now, the guild leader is still not following his end of the agreement, so we're kind of tired of this. So I get that they had been planning this whole, like, leaving the guild thing for a while, but, I had just joined. I didn't want to find a new guild. I was liking it. Despite the fact that the leadership was absolutely abysmal, the actual players on the team were really good. And I really liked it there. I thought, like, the environment and, the people that I played with were really fun. So I was enjoying myself, which is why it was really frustrating that now suddenly, things were about to fall apart. So I'm like, I'm kind of friends with the officers, and, I'm kind of friends with the people on the raid team who are thinking of quitting. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be the mediator here. I'm going to see if I can get everybody, set aside their differences and come together in the name of getting the boss down. So, I mean, we got pretty far. I managed to, I'd like to think, probably single-handedly hold things together until after we killed Il'gynoth. And then we only had 2 bosses left, Carapace and Azoth. And then tensions started getting even more tense. I managed to keep things together in the guild, keep them from, ripping each other's throats out, until we got to Carapace. Then we're on Carapace, and things just keep getting worse. The mismanagement just gets to be insane, and especially when you're at that far into a tier, you're, like, on the last 2 bosses, it's generally expected you're going to take things more seriously. So I think what some people in the guild were hoping is, oh, well, maybe when the guild leader realizes that his guild actually might be able to get cutting edge, he'll start to actually, like, try a bit more and put in the time. No, he still just spent every single waking moment on League of Legends and did nothing else. So at this point, I was talking basically pretty frequently with all the people who were planning on quitting and making their own team. They had gone ahead and talked to most of the raid team that wasn't, like, expressly loyal to, like, the guild leader. And they had basically said, look, Lenara, I know you're new here, but I just want to, like, let you know, we have basically, like, 2/3 of the raid team. When we eventually pull the trigger and make our own new team, it's going to be most of the core here. You'll have an officer spot, which I don't know why they gave me an officer spot. Probably a bad idea. Not because I think I'm a bad officer, but because I did not see eye to eye with them on everything. I guess they thought I might, but I didn't. They were like, you'll have an officer spot, it'll be good, don't worry. I know that you're new and you're probably worried about, like, the fact that the guild's about to fall apart, which, yeah, I was. But they were like, trust me, it'll be fine. So I'm like, okay, I'll take your word on it. So I kind of stuck around and I tried to keep things together as long as I could, but it got to the point where we were on the last week when the guild was doing a full raid week, because then the next week we ended up officially leaving. That last week was just a mess. We had really shitty Carapace prog. We ended up not raiding on the Thursday because we were missing people, and it was just overall like a sour attitude. We had been killing one mythic boss every single week for like a month. So we would kill, I mean, I think they had already killed Zanesh, but they re-cleared Zanesh, and then they killed Vexiona. And that was, like, really big, because apparently they had been stuck on, like, Vexiona and re-clear Zanesh for a while. The first week I joined, well, I picked up the tanking strat pretty quickly, and then we killed it that week. Yeah, oh yeah, so then we killed Harldan the next week, and then the week after that, we killed Drestagath, and the week after that, we killed Il'gynoth. So this guild went from being stuck on Vexiona for like 3 weeks straight to suddenly they're killing boss after boss after boss after boss. And they were really, really happy about that. And then next thing you know, we reach Carapace. And I'm not saying that, by the way, that we should have killed Carapace in a week. Carapace was not by any means an easy boss. It was not a super duper hard boss, but it was not face roll easy. So I did not expect to kill it in the first week, but I guess some people maybe had the warped perception that we would. And we didn't just not kill it, we basically did horribly on Carapace week 1. And then, you know, the fact that we didn't end up raiding, I think we tried to raid on Thursday and we only raided about an hour before people had to leave, and then we called raid early, which honestly is worse. I'm generally of the opinion that it's better to just call raid if you think it's going to be a waste of time than try to force a raid, have everybody like set aside time and show up only to basically stop it an hour in. That is a surefire way to piss off your raiders, and I can tell you for a fact it pissed everybody off that night. So we're going into the weekend with a really sour mentality, and they were already telling me that they were planning on like basically like leaving the guild. Some of them wanted to do it that week, so some of them were like, no, let's wait until next week, you know, it's fine. But overall, kind of a shitty atmosphere that was generally happening in the guild at the time. But yeah, so then Monday rolls around. And Monday, you know, in most guilds is your typical help everybody get their Mythic Plus done. I had 2 interesting characters in my guilds. So let's call them Hunter N and Hunter C. They were 2 hunters. Hunter N played Beast Mastery, and he thought he was an absolute god at the game, despite Beast Mastery being, I'm sorry, piss easy. So he would always brag about how good his damage was. He was always like, bro, I'm pumping, man. Oh, look at this pump. No other hunter brings the pump like me. This is genuinely how this person talked. I cannot even exaggerate how annoying it was. Hunter C, he was almost as bad as Hunter N, because even though he played Marksmanship Hunter, he had that type of personality where he wouldn't brag about his damage, but he would say, oh, imagine how much damage I could do if I wasn't playing Marksman. You know, I'm holding myself back by playing Marksman. It's like a handicap, and yet I'm still able to do good damage. I get like rank 1 world parses as Marksman. I think he was afraid that if he played BM, he would lose on damage to Hunter N. So he didn't want to play BM because he didn't want to be able to officially say that he did less damage than Hunter N. So instead, he opted to basically just pretend that he would have been better if he played BM, which is just dumb. It's just childish. So basically, what I'm trying to say is both of these guys were complete morons, just in their own different, unique way. It was a Monday night, and we were doing Mythic Plus to help people get their 15. So I had already gotten my key done, but I was trying to help people like in the raid group get their Mythic Plus keys done. And I was grouped up with both of those hunters. You know, as I said, Hunter N and Hunter C. And they decided that they were going to compete to see which person could do more damage, because of course they did. And they bet gold on it. They bet, I think, something like 250k to see who could out DPS the other, something absolutely absurd like that. So they wanted to bet gold to see which one would do more damage. But then Hunter C was like, oh, well, obviously I could do more damage than you, but I'm not going to play BM. And then Hunter N was like, well, I am so much better than you that I bet that I could beat you by 15k damage. So then they would do bets where it's like, if he beats him by 5k damage, they basically split the gold 50-50. If he beats him by 15k damage, he gets, like, all of the gold. And then, if Hunter C manages to actually beat him on damage, then Hunter C gets all the gold. They had some really fucked up betting system. We had basically, like, this is, like, the reason I'm kind of saying this, aside from it just being comedically fucking absurd, how dumb, crazy these people are, is that the important takeaway from this is that even though we were only doing, like, a casual guild Mythic Plus run, because of, like, the sheer stupidity at display, everybody in the guild pretty much was in our Discord channel. So it was just us 5, like, us 3, another healer from the Mythic Raid team, and then we would basically, like, carry each person one at a time. So we would basically do a run with one person, and then basically get another person there plus 15. We were getting everybody's alts plus 15s. And as we did the plus 15 carries for all the guild alts, they would do stupid stuff and, like, bet money to see which one was better. So because of that, it was just almost like, free entertainment. Come watch, Tweedledee and Tweedledum bet over which one can do more damage in a fucking plus 15. So everybody in the guild is in the Discord, watching or listening. I think watching too, because technically somebody was streaming the run. But I guess that's not really important, because what happens next is purely in Discord. And then this girl that had joined the guild about a few weeks earlier pops into the Discord channel and says, Hunter N, why are you telling everybody that I sent you my nudes? I did not send you my nudes. You're making it up. You photoshopped those that you sent to everybody in the guild, and I am tired of you making shit up about me and telling people that I sent you my nudes. Fuck you. And then she leaves the Discord channel. And, everybody went absolutely insane, understandably, because when something like that randomly happens with absolutely no context in the middle of a Mythic Plus run, everybody just simultaneously pretty much went, what the fuck was that? So then everybody was asking Hunter N, obviously, buddy, what the fuck was that about? Can you explain what just happened? So he at first was trying to deny it, but then some other people were like, come on, like, I doubt she made that up. And then I think one of the healers on our raid team was like, man, you sent me her nudes. I know that you're not making this shit up. For the record, I was not one of the people in the guild who, I guess, luckily or unluckily, depending on how you want to look at it, got sent the nudes. I mean, I didn't know them all well enough. I don't really think I want to get nudes of a random person in the guild, especially because I think that's pretty shitty. By the way, as hilarious as I think this story is, just because of the pure absurdity and stupidity of this hunter in my guild, don't do that. I mean, if that's something you're into, like, sending nudes between other people, don't send it to your entire World of Warcraft guild. It's not cool. When I was laughing at, like, this scenario and, like, in the immediate moment, I wasn't laughing at, he sent her nudes. I'm, like, laughing at how stupid this guy is to send nudes that someone sent him to the entire fucking guild and then try to cover his ass up. And then multiple people are like, bro, you sent me the nudes. You can't act like this didn't actually happen. But then, of course, he's like, yeah, I did send some of you nudes, but, I don't know how she found out about it. So then he's trying to figure out how she found out, and then he realized, apparently, the girl who he apparently sent her nudes everywhere, was in a Discord call with one of the officers in our guild. And he said, well, I see that she's in here with, like, so-and-so officer, so now I know who told her. So you know what? I was gonna keep this a secret, but I'm gonna tell you all. Like, ex-officer is cheating on his wife with this chick. And, yeah, that's why he told her, because he's jealous that she sent me nudes too. But no, he's cheating on his wife, so he's the real scumbag here. And then, of course, if Discord wasn't going insane as is, it fucking exploded after that. And every single person in the guild who wasn't already listening in on this, like, crazy bullshit was now in Discord after the whole thing about, that guy getting accused of, like, sending the girls nudes. So everybody, literally everybody in the guild is in there by that point, and he says this in front of the entire guild, the entire raid team, all the casual guild members too. Everybody hears him say that one of the guild officers is cheating on his wife with this new recruit in the guild. Now, first of all, I honestly was just like, okay, yeah, he's making this shit up. I doubt it, because, hold your surprise. Hunter N did not have the best reputation for telling the truth. I know. Tragic. How could Hunter N do this to us? But no, he was a chronic liar. I kind of was just like, whatever, man, okay, that's kind of rude to say, like, making shit up about the officer. But then 5 minutes later, Hunter N gets dragged into Officer Channel in Discord with the guild leader, who miraculously decided to stop playing League of Legends to actually do something for once, and the officer in question, who apparently was cheating on his wife. And everybody, of course, is like, ooh, he's in trouble. So after a little while, I kind of messaged them, because I was basically trying to, keep everybody calm, because I was there for the entire thing. So, of course, rumors at that point were running wild. Everybody's like, oh, what happened? I'd been there the whole time. I was like, no, I'm pretty sure so-and-so is just full of shit. I don't think that officer is actually cheating on his wife. Let's just chill out and, let it happen. We all thought that the hunter was going to get kicked out of the guild because, he made up shit about the officer. Turns out, within 10 minutes, the officer G-quits on all of his characters, and then he kicks the girl whose nudes are, being leaked out of the guild. Which, bad look. Definitely not the look you're going for when somebody just told the entire guild that you're cheating on your wife with said girl. And then, of course, this is the moment where I'm like, all right, what's actually going on? I won't lie. I tend to try to get out of guild drama, but at this point, I'm kind of curious. Like, I didn't ask to be involved in guild drama. I'm just sitting there trying to do plus 15 keys, but this kind of just happened, and I happen to be there. And then, I'm sitting there online just hoping that, shit doesn't hit the fan. And then one of the officers who was on the raid team just starts G-quitting. So, of course, I'm concerned, justifiably so. And I messaged basically the guild leader and one of the other officers, not the one that was G-quitting, but the other one of the two officers that was just kind of sitting here watching this whole shit show unfold. And I said, okay, I'm getting a million questions right now in Discord about what the fuck is going on. Can I get some, insight on what's actually happening here? Is the guild falling apart? I kind of need to know. So, eventually, after they were done talking to Hunter N, who then basically gave me his side of the story later on, one-on-one in Discord, the guild leader and the officer, pulled me into officer chat and then basically debriefed me on what was going on. And they said, okay, Lenara, you're pretty good friends with, everybody in the guild. So, here's the thing. Yeah, Hunter N told everybody that, so-and-so is cheating on his wife, and we don't want people to find out. So that's when I'm like, wait, it's true? He is cheating on his wife? And then they were like, wait, what do you mean? I said, nobody thought it was true. We all thought he just made it up. But now, the entire guild kind of knows that he's cheating on his wife. So if it's true, that's kind of bad. Because now suddenly his wife, who was also in the guild, by the way, he has everybody else in the guild. She happened to not be online, I guess, thank God, at the time. But now suddenly you're in a position where everybody else in the guild apparently knows that you're cheating on your wife. So, yeah, not exactly looking well for our officer buddy over here. And I'm like, what the fuck do you plan on doing? Because, it's kind of hard to keep a guild together with drama this bad. And their plan was deny, deny, deny. And, while I think that's, I don't even know what I would suggest doing in this scenario. My suggestion, by the way, is don't cheat on your significant other. It's shitty. My dad got cheated on. He was fucking miserable. So you know what? It's not cool. Don't do it. That's my suggestion, by the way, on how to avoid this drama. Don't fucking cheat on people. It's shitty. But, when the entire guild finds out that you already did cheat on people, I don't even know what the best way to approach this situation would be. You're kind of already fucked. You just shouldn't have done it in the first place. I don't know, there's no salvaging this, but apparently they thought there was. And their plan was to tell me that they wanted my help in basically covering it up. They wanted me to help them spin this whole, like, story about how apparently this raider, who, for the record, I guess they didn't think it through, because apparently the guy that they wanted to basically throw under the bus for leaking all of this information, because they didn't want to kick the hunter, because of course Hunter N was like, obviously it's true, I'm not going to leave the guild just because you tried to slander me and then I told the truth about you cheating on your wife, which, I mean, it's just a whole fucked up situation, but I guess that's fair. Like, if the officer who cheated on his wife is then going to go out and, like, you know, tell people that, like, the hunters, like, showed this, like, this girl's nudes to other people, then I guess he doesn't really have any right to, like, demand that the hunter gets kicked from the guild when he's the one who cheated on his wife and started the drama in the first place. I don't know, it's just a whole fucked up situation. But basically, they didn't want to kick anybody out of the guild, so their genius plan was blame it on somebody who left the guild a month and a half ago and make up this story about how this guy got kicked out of the guild and he's like a drama monger and he decided that he was gonna spread lies about the officer, so he made up this story about the officer cheating on his wife and he told it to Hunter N, and then Hunter N thought it was true, and then this same guy then went to the officer and told the officer the story of, like, Hunter N sending the nudes to everybody, and you know, that's the reason why all of this confusion happens. So nobody's cheating on their wives, nobody's sending nudes to other people, we're all one big happy guild, and it's just this one guy who's not even in the guild anymore that caused all this drama. You know, I'm sorry, but if you were in a guild and somebody told you that story, would you fucking believe it? Because I sure as shit wouldn't. And I think they were kind of under the impression that, like, only a few people even heard the initial story. So they were like, okay, this is the plan, Lenara. You need to go out there and you need to tell everybody to, who heard the story that for all of the remaining members in the guild, if they ask, this is the cover-up story that we're going with. And I said, first of all, look, I'm here to raid. I'm not here to help some dude cover up his, like, you know, infidelity. Like, I voiced my opinion on it. I basically said, you know, my dad was cheated on. I said, I'm not going to try to cast judgment on you, but I think what you did was shitty, and I'm not about to help you cover it up, because, you know, I just think that's shitty. So I said, I'm not going to help you with this shit. I said, but first of all, I think you misunderstand how many people heard this story. It's not just a few people that heard the story of him cheating on his wife. It's everybody in the guild. So there is nobody else left to spread this cover-up story to. Everybody's already heard it. Everybody already thinks that he's cheating on his wife. The only person that doesn't know that he's cheating on his wife is his wife. So I think he should probably sort that out and figure out if he wants to tell her or if he wants to let her find out through some dumb fuck hunter in our guild. That's up to him, but I'm certainly not going to play any part in that. So, I mean, I was just already, like, remember, you know, I know that we've been talking about this drama for a good, like, 20 minutes now, but if you think back to before 20 minutes, you'll remember that this is on top of poor guild management and fucking up recruitment and stuff. So the guild's already not in a good spot, and then right when everybody's already considering leaving the guild, all of this shit happens on the Monday before the first raid of the week, because we raided Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So, yeah, poor timing, to say the least. And miraculously, somehow they managed to keep it together for one more day. So Tuesday, we actually raided. It wasn't good, but the guild also didn't explode, which I think that's like a feat of strength in and of itself, managing to not have the guild collapse after all of this shit happens. It collapsed the very next day, on the Wednesday, but, you know, having the guild survive at least one more day after all of that bullshit, that's something. That's worth something, in my opinion, you know? Kudos to you guys. You spun your story well enough for at least 24 hours that enough people were able to deal with the bullshit. But then, Wednesday rolls around, and we had already had a relatively crappy raid day on Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, we don't end up raiding. We show up to raid, we're told that we have enough people, and then we have 17 out of 20 people for Mythic Carapace of N'Zoth. And we find out that a lot of the people we thought were going to trial were told by an officer who happened to be cheating on his wife. The same officer also told all of the trials to not show up until Saturday on a heroic clear because he just couldn't be bothered to deal with all the recruitment stuff. He didn't tell anybody else. He didn't let anybody else in the guild know and take care of the trial or, like, you know, interview or whatever that they wanted to do. He could have told any person on the raid team. Fuck, he could have told me. But he didn't. He just completely ignored it, blew it off because he was too busy with IRL stuff, aka covering up that he cheated on his wife. So we find out that the reason we can't raid is because this dude is trying to use cheating on his wife as an excuse for fucking up the trials. So now not only is the guild leader fucking up the trials, but the cheating officer is fucking up the trials. And that's when pretty much everybody just had it. But the problem is, and this is where I end up looking like the bad guy, and where, you know, all of my friends and, you know, my dad, when I tell him this story, ends up being like, whoa, why do you always have to end up being the bad guy? And it's like, I don't want to be the bad guy, okay? I wish I could just get along with everybody and whatnot. But I hate bullshit. I absolutely hate this bullshit. So as entertaining as some of this drama is, you know, it's not really fun to experience it when you just want to fucking raid. And I just want to show up there. I just want to kill bosses. I want to have fun. You know, recounting the story and how crazy it was, it's funny, right? But it's not funny when you're in the thick of things. You know, I was like so over all this bullshit. So basically, I'm in this position where the guild is effectively dead, right? You know, we have had so much drama. Everybody in their own private Discord who's been telling me they're going to leave the guild is talking shit about how much they want to leave, how much they want to leave. And then I'm like, okay, so are we going to leave, right? Like, after all of this bullshit that we've had with the guild, after all of this drama with the dude and cheating on his wife, all of this shit, we're going to leave, right? We're not even raiding. They fucked it up. We can't even raid. The reason we're doing this is to raid. And now we can't do that? And they're like, no, let's wait another week. So I said, okay, fuck that. And then I stepped in, and I basically spoke up. And, you know, while the guild leader was giving his, like, you know, basically full of bullshit, like, pep talk rally thing about, you know, guys, you know, it may not have been the best week, but, you know, we're a good guild. We got this. I'm confident. We got a lot of good people coming in next week. We're going to do this. And basically I said, oh, you mean like the last week? The week before that? And, like, you said this every single week. I've heard the same exact speech over and over and over, and nothing ever changes. And then, after last week, you guys assure me, up and down, no, trust me, we know that there's problems with the leadership. We're working on it. We don't want this guild to fall apart before killing the final boss. And then, on Monday, I have to be told that I'm supposed to help with some cover-up story to help one of the officers not, like, have his wife find out he's cheating on her. I'm like, this is basically the guild you expect me to believe that you're going to hold together for the last two bosses of the raid tier? I'm like, either you have something concrete to tell me that's going to completely change my mind and the minds of 2/3 of the raid team, because y'all know they already want to quit, or we're out of here, because I'm so fucking tired of showing up every week and being fed the same horse shit. And that's the thing. I was in this guild for 1 month. 1 month. And these people were in this guild for over a year. And they dealt with this drama bullshit for over a year. And I heard story after story after story about how, oh, this happened in Eternal Palace, and this happened in Battle of Dazara Lore. And every single time, they still stayed in the guild. They apparently absolutely despise the guild leader. They talked to me in detail about how much they hated raiding with this guild in Battle of Dazara Lore and in Ashar's Eternal Palace, and how much they wanted to quit. And yet they never fucking did it. You know, in life, you gotta fucking pull the trigger. If you're not happy somewhere and you want to change, just do it. You know, insert Shia LaBeouf meme here. Just do it. Sometimes, you know, you just need to say fuck it. You know, like, it's not gonna work out here. I'm clearly not enjoying it. I just need to leave. But instead, you know, they keep lying to themselves, I guess, and saying, oh, maybe next week it'll be fine. Maybe next week. Maybe next week. And you get into this position where you have the guild leader there who gives his little, like, you know, flowery pep talk every single week because he knows that all he needs to do is say, yeah, guys, I got it in order. And these idiots will tell themselves, oh, maybe the guild leader's right. Next week it'll be better. And then this keeps happening for over a year. So, like I said, I hate bullshit. I apparently had to be the bad guy. I had to be the one person who spoke up, which I was kind of pissed about that. They're all sitting there talking in their private Discord about how mad they are and how much they wish they could leave the guild. And yet I'm the only one who had the fucking balls to actually speak up and say, I'm tired of hearing this shit. They're all able to say it in their private little fucking Discord, but when push comes to shove, they're too afraid to actually speak out. So, yeah, you know, fucking cowards. I may have to be the bad guy, but at least I'm not a fucking coward. Anyways, they got mad. They kicked me out of the guilds. As expected, 2/3 of the raid team immediately G-quit, and they formed the guild. They then kind of got, like, mad at me, saying, oh, you should have gone too early. But, you know, I think I was right. You know, maybe you guys can let me know what you think. Was I right? Should I have let them wait another week to maybe give the officer his, like, 500th chance? Or the officer who cheated on his wife and the guild leader who kept making excuses? Their 500th chance at fixing the guild? But, like, you know, you can only deal with next weekism for so long. At a certain point, you just have to say, no, this shit isn't getting fixed. This is just an unfixable problem. They have no plans to fix this. The dude's just kicking the can down the road, hoping that people stay with him long enough to where, like, they just give up, and they're just like, fuck it, I'll stick here throughout the tier. So, I don't know. Like, personally, I think I did them a favor, because all of them ended up getting CE. Everybody that left with us, I ended up leaving their new guild, because, surprise, surprise, when you have people like that who cause drama, you know, a new guild isn't exactly going to go super well. Their guild didn't fall apart. They did end up getting CE, but like I said, they made me an officer, and I really disagreed with some of them on stuff, especially how they handled Hunter N's drama. They made Hunter N an officer, by the way. You know, think on that for a bit. The guy who sent a girl's nudes to half of the guild got promoted to officer rank in the new guild. You know, really great look for your guild when you have somebody who is basically just a complete, like, douchebag womanizer, and just, this dude would basically flame people in trade chat all day if they were related to, like, our old guild. So when we were in the new guild, basically anytime one of the old guildies would post, like, a guild ad, he would, like, actively flame them. And then he would go one by one and whisper people, like, new recruits to the old guild, and be basically like, oh, your guild leader's a piece of shit. You're in a terrible guild. You should join our new guild. And it's just like, it's just shitty. He did a lot of really shitty stuff, and he made our guild look bad by extension. And, you know, we basically were constantly trying to save face and saying, oh, no, you know, he doesn't represent our actual guild. But then, you know, it took them forever to fucking demote him. It was just a mess. That's the thing. So there wasn't even, like, necessarily one piece of drama that made me leave the second guild. It was just me being tired of them just not being able to deal with the bullshit. They left that guild with, like, you know, the cheating officer and stuff because they were tired of the way things went there. But then even when they were in their new guild that they formed themselves, they acted like they were still part of the old guild. They couldn't let it go. Like, they spent so much time talking about how much they hated the old guild that they were, like, so focused on that instead of building up a new guild. Like, just let it go. Like, they held on to those grudges for way too fucking long. But, I mean, after that, by the way, I guess, you know, moving on with the guild story. So I eventually left that guild on N'Zoth Prog. Like I said, just due to disagreements and basically just how the guild should be led. Also just raid leading strategies. Like, there were certain things that they suggested that we do for raid that were just dumb. Like, they used the strategy for N'Zoth that required us to have, like, ridiculously high DPS, which we didn't. And it was dumb. It was like, there was a strategy for N'Zoth where you basically intentionally lose a ton of sanity, but by intentionally losing a ton of sanity, you gain, like, an extra 5 seconds to DPS the boss. And the long and short of it is that this was a strategy that guilds would use for farm kills, for basically speed clears. Some of the top guilds in the world would use this strategy because they knew that they would kill the boss fast enough, so this was just saving them 10 extra seconds. But if you don't have enough damage, you're eventually just going to run out of sanity and everybody's going to die. And I literally did the math on this, and I showed them that mathematically speaking, it was impossible for us to kill this boss if we continued trying to use this strategy, because we were just so dead set on trying to do this stupid thing that would not work. By the way, they ended up having to use the strat that I suggested because they eventually realized that it was mathematically impossible. So, yeah. It's just unfortunate that they were so dead set that, no, we don't need to use this strategy, you're wrong, that it got to the point where I was just like, I can't be in this guild anymore. With the drama, combined with just the absolute insistence on not listening to basic logic, I just had to leave.
Well, that's it for today's story, but if you like this video, make sure to subscribe and drop a like on it, and if you want to see more stuff like this, I recently posted a video going over some really juicy drama on the WoW forums, so you can check that out in the video on the screen right now.